This product image was never photographed, no studio, no lighting setup, no camera on a tripod. And for a lot of businesses right now, that's not a gimmick anymore. It's starting to become a real option. In this episode, AI-generated images, and whether they can actually replace parts of a traditional product shoot. Product photography seems straightforward, until you're dealing with real scale. One product is manageable, 10 is fine. But once you're at 100 SKUs, each needing images for ads, landing pages, marketplaces, social, and internal reviews, the problem changes shape. Now you're not just dealing with photography, you're dealing with volume. Studio time, editing rounds, version control, revisions, coordination. And then you update a product, and you do it again. That's why AI-generated product imagery is getting serious attention right now. Not because it replaces every photo, but because it can cut down on how many photos actually need to be taken. That's a different kind of value. Let's be precise about what's actually happening here, because the marketing around these tools tends to oversell it. AI image tools don't photograph products. They generate plausible-looking product visuals based on prompts, reference images, and learned visual patterns. That's an important distinction. What that means in practice, you can create background variations, campaign concepts, lifestyle scenes, packaging mockups, and add visuals without physically building every setup. But the real value isn't just image generation. It's image variation. You can test multiple looks, compositions, moods, and color directions before you commit to anything. Before you book a studio, before you brief a photographer. That changes how product imagery fits into the workflow. From something you do once to something you can explore more freely. The use cases that are actually working aren't the ones that require precision. It's the flexible, high-volume stuff. The work that surrounds the core product rather than defining it. Campaign mockups, concept visuals, social ads, background swaps, seasonal variations, early product page drafts, creative testing across multiple audiences or markets. In those cases, the image doesn't need to function as strict documentation. It just needs to communicate the product clearly enough to support the message. And that's a bar AI imagery can already clear in a lot of situations. For e-commerce teams, smaller brands, agencies, and performance marketers who need speed and volume more than photographic perfection, that's genuinely useful. The more variation you need, the more the economics start to favor this. The shift here isn't that product imagery suddenly becomes cheap or free. It doesn't. The shift is that experimenting becomes cheaper. A traditional product shoot means locking in visual decisions before you know which direction will actually perform. You're spending real budget on something you haven't validated yet. AI changes that timeline. You can test concepts before committing to production, compare directions before briefing a photographer, build out campaign variations before scheduling anything. That reduces upfront creative risk. And honestly, in most marketing teams, reducing risk early in the process is worth more than squeezing perfection out of the final asset. But this is where I think a lot of businesses are going to get caught out. Because AI-generated product images can look convincing while still being quietly wrong. Proportions can drift in ways that are hard to catch until a customer notices. Materials don't always look right under close inspection. Labels distort. Packaging details shift between versions. Small visual errors accumulate. And in commerce, that's not just a visual problem. It's a trust problem. Because product imagery isn't only marketing, it's expectation setting. It's what a customer uses to decide whether to buy, and whether what arrives matches what they ordered. If the image is even slightly off, that cost comes back later, through confusion, returns, or just a general sense that something felt misleading. So no, AI images don't replace all product photography, not even close. And businesses that use them carelessly will end up paying more than the shoot they tried to avoid. What's actually going first isn't the core product documentation. It's everything around it, the ad variations, the concept development, the background generation, the creative testing, the promo assets, the secondary visuals for a campaign that no one's going to zoom in on. That's where the economics make sense. That's where speed matters more than absolute accuracy. The technology doesn't need to replace photography. It just needs to reduce how much traditional photography is required to keep everything moving. For a lot of businesses, that's already happening. AI images aren't replacing product photography. That's not really the story here. The story is that they're changing how businesses think about visual production, what needs to be shot, when that decision gets made, and what it costs to test an idea before committing to it. The question worth asking isn't whether AI can reproduce photography perfectly. It's where generated imagery is already useful enough to save real time, reduce real cost, and open up creative options that weren't practical before. That's where the shift is actually happening. Future systems,